Hi, hello, hello, hello. I am so happy to be joining you today, streaming live from our Comcast Business Startup Studio here at 2112. I am Sadia Davis, the Director for the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship, and it is, of course, my joy and pleasure to bring to you today a 10-minute bite-sized consumable insights with our guest speaker, Shelby Parchman, COO of Family Farmed. But before we get into it, I just want to say a couple of things. It was this time last year that Scott Fetters and I met with Shelby at the Good Food Accelerator, who's also sponsored and funded by the Coleman Foundation. And last Friday, we had the pleasure of co-hosting with the Polsky Entrepreneurial Center based out of the University of Chicago, their annual Outlook focused on entertainment and media. What I'm talking to you about is the fact that as institutions and organizations and businesses, the more that we partner together, the stronger we are and the more impact we have within our creative sector and empowering our creative entrepreneurs. So check us out on February 27th when we partner with NYU's Yellow Brick and Creative Cypher. Let's get down to it. We've got 10 minutes. The clock starts once Shelby talks a little bit more about who he is. Shelby Parchman, welcome.
Hi, Sadia. Thanks for having me.
It's such a joy and pleasure. As I said, we had a meeting this time last year. Congratulations on your recent that's an ascension to COO. Tell us a little bit about your origin story. It really helps entrepreneurs and business leaders understand a little bit of a pathway forward. And Then we'll get down to our 10 minutes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I grew up on the west side of Chicago and I always wanted to own a business and did years in the laboratory developing drugs for pharmaceutical companies. And one day I decided I wanted to start my own business. And I noticed that I didn't have a lot of support in doing so. And so after I made this business successful, ended up selling it off, I dedicated my life to helping small businesses grow. And so you'll see the body of work that I do, no matter what organization I get associated with. It's always about how can I help small businesses grow? And usually a lot of that is around how do they get money to grow? And that's really been my life's blood lately.
Well, I got to tell you, that is the topic of today. Literally, funding preparedness, right? And I got to say this because when we started this year, we realized we got to do something a little different. Everybody's like over in screened. And so we wanted to make sure that we were literally providing resources for real business owners. So we went to the people, if you will, the business owners, and we created a resource roundtable. So the topics that we are going to curate over the next couple of months literally have to do with what was told to us and some of the concerns and needs that were out there. So today, let's talk about capital raise and funding preparedness. Go for it, Shelby.
Okay, so, and it's funny that you asked me to do this because I'm in the middle of a capital raise right now. And so these are pretty much the 8 lessons learned the hard way. This is my first really big capital raise. And although I've been helping people do so, this is my first time really being in the trenches of, hey, I need to raise some money. And so the first point I have is to understand your business and how you make money. And I use that a lot in my talks because a lot of people don't really understand how their businesses make money. And investors really want to know that because you make money, that's the only way they're going to make money. Right. Number 2, having clear and documented financials. A lot of the companies that I've worked with in the past, and even the one that I'm involved in is we're doing a buyout. The financials are horrible. Even though the company is making a ton of money, you're looking at the financials and everything is kind of mixed together and doesn't make a lot of sense. And investors are very savvy. And that's one of the first things they're going to just hone right into. Understanding the type of capital that you need. You don't always need an investor. It depends on what you're trying to do and how you're trying to do it. And even our investors are saying, okay, if you want to purchase equipment, don't use my money, go get a loan. So there's a mixture between putting money into a business, and especially if you want more control of your business, you're going to have to borrow money and not take investors' money. The pitch deck is really important. once again, they're very savvy. 10 pages needs 10 pages or less should tell your whole story. And I can tell you, you can get eat up in those 10 pages. So you have to be very careful about that as well. Then having a clear ask and use of funds. If you want my money, then what are you going to, how much do you need? And one point that was brought up as we were doing our capital raise, we're asking for one sum, and one investor said, I think you need more. You're not asking for enough. And here's why you're not asking for enough. Now, fortunately, he said, oh, I'll be willing to do it, but just think about your cash flow, right? And then what are you going to do with my money? And that is one of the things that we've been discussing for like the last 2 weeks, is because it's really important. What are you going to do with my money? And then think big or go to a bank. Investors don't like putting in $10,000. To them, that's not enough to really think about getting a return. That's bank capital. And so they want to know, how will I get a return on my investment? But I want a significant return on my investment. So your plan has to be a big plan, the big idea. It can't be, I want to do something really tiny and solve a small issue and want my corner of the world. But it's more of, I look at something on a larger scale, and if I'm going to start here, but then 2 years from now, I want to be there, right? And they want to hear that. And then networking, which is extremely important. And I say network like you don't have any connections, network like you know nobody.
I like it.
Right? Because
like you don't know anybody.
Yeah, right. Because you never know who's going to catch you. And this one project that we're in and fundraising, and I never imagined that I would be in this project. Some people in my network came to me and said, hey, I think you'll be the best person to bring this project to life. I have some investors who we can talk to, and we can make this happen. And voila, here we go. And we're pretty close to getting that yes. And then the last one, which I have been getting for the last four weeks, is you're going to get grilled. There are going to be a lot of tough questions. And many times you won't have the answers. And you shouldn't be afraid to say, I don't know. Let me go check. And I can't count the number of times I said, that's a good point. I don't know. I need to go back and check. But when we make it to the next meeting, I'll have that answer for you. And sure enough, I had that answer. And then they had a bunch of other tough questions. And now, starting on Friday, I have to start asking, because I'm busy with a conference right now. Friday, I have a bunch of other tough questions. And I think these will be the last of the tough questions I get. But every time it gets a little easier and easier. But they want to know that even if you don't know, you're going to go out there and get the answer, and you're going to get it in an expeditious manner.
What do you think about sort of reverse engineering, like doing your research on potential questions ahead so that you have as many, in a sense, you've shown your due diligence?
Yeah.
Is that helpful?
Yeah, you know what? I would say yes to a point, but usually, and I always say this in everything that you do, all the questions you be prepared for, those aren't the questions they're going to ask, right? Which always, it's like, man, I had this long list of answers and ready to go, and it's like they throw you for a loop. But no, being prepared is great, because you don't want to go into a meeting like you don't know anything. And so some of the basic questions really about your business, you should know. Use of funds, you should have an idea. They're still going to ask questions, because these are very savvy people. They've funded many businesses. They've seen it all. And they really want to fund the next good business. And they just want to know that they trust the person who they're going to invest your money into. Because in most instances, they're investing in the person, not the business. And that's what I heard. It's like, well, this may be not really what I want to do, but Shelby, if you're leading it, then I feel more comfortable that it can work.
Yeah, one of the things that I want to go back to is number 2, have clear and documented financials. Are you talking about specific spreadsheets? Is there a particular document you can name? Would it be a one sheet?
Well, when I say documented financials, in most instances, when investors say, I want to see the company's performance. And a lot of times people have like programs like QuickBooks, but they're really not up to date. And so that's the first thing you want to do, because you want to be able to, if they say, I need your profit loss statement for this year to that year, you should be able to pull that out right away without any question. Because if you say it's going to take some time, that means you don't have it together. Balance sheet. They want to know how much money you owe. how much money is owed to you, because that gives them a sense of how much cash flow you have, how much money's in the bank, because all these things are telling them how strong the business is. And so the quicker you can produce that, the easier it is for them to say, okay, we know this part is tight. And so in this instance that we're working on, it wasn't that tight. And so it's like, okay, we need to now hire someone to go in and take a look at the finances to make sure they're right.
Great. And let's look at 5. Have a clear ask.
Yeah. So
use of funds, but like most people don't understand, just the ask itself is a delicate.
It is. And what's really funny is everybody is, I always hear like everybody needs like $1 million, $2 million, $3 million.
Right.
I was working with a client, and certainly I won't mention names or anything like that, but they had an ask of $3 million. And I said, okay, so what are you going to use the money for? And I'm looking, and it's like, well, we're going to put 500 in the bank to invest it, to pay back this and do that. And it's like, no, that's not, we need to know, number one, how much do you need to grow this business? That is what the ask is, because the investors are investing for you to grow the business. So you need to detail how much money you're going to need to grow that business. And then when you give me this money, how much will I need? What will I use this for? And every element of that will be used to grow the business. And so, and what's really funny is that in the instance that we're working on now, the investors feel that there's enough money in terms of cash flow in the business, but they want to make sure that we have enough capital to withstand any growth pains, right? So they're saying set aside, a bunch of money for working capital, because you don't want to fall cash short as this business starts growing. So so part of it is you have to really understand the business, the cash flow of the business, and what's really needed to not only grow the business but sustain the business.
Perfect. I love it. Listen, I've got one other question. I want to just, for those of you who are watching, this is your opportunity to ask a question. We're going to wrap this up probably in about 3 minutes. So if there are no questions that come up, we'll wrap by 12:15. But I definitely want to ask this because it came up when we talk about risk tolerance, right? We talk about family funds. Most individuals within certain communities, let's say historically marginalized, BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, people of color communities, they don't just have family members sitting around with a capital infuse of $10,000. Can we talk a little bit about risk tolerance and family funds and what that means so people understand?
Sure. So that's one of the things that we do in our presentations. We call it the 3 F's, and it's friends, families, and fools, to do that first investment. It's kind of a joke in the investment community, but usually you have to focus on the fools and not the friends and family. And we say that in a lovingly way. It's that there is always somebody who believes in you and foolish enough to believe in your business, because you think about it in the early stages, most businesses fail, right? But so what I tell people, it goes back to the person. And so people invest in people. And so what you do is you get someone who really believes in you and believe in your vision, and it's a lot better. And the point is correct. It's really difficult finding people, family and friends, to invest in a business that give you $10,000 or $20,000. But we also have a lot of banks that we work with. They're looking to invest in small businesses, and so that $10,000 or $20,000 can easily be had at low interest rates, and you don't necessarily need a high credit score. And so those banks do exist as well.
Great. Thank you so much. Well, listen, I can tell you that this has been valuable. It's bite-sized. Folks can rewatch it, take notes. Again, I'm throwing out anyone who has, throwing out an opportunity, anyone who has a question. But for now, I feel like, Shelby, this is valuable information. It's something that individuals can sort of click on, check their notes as they're in their process.
Yes.
And we have all of these incubators around us. And as I mentioned in the top of our talk, all of the resources that we can encourage individuals to utilize. In Urban, your community and your company, tell me, is there anything that you would direct individuals to as a resource?
Yeah, so you really look at it, as you were saying, there are a lot of organizations around here in Chicago area who can help small businesses, and a lot of them focus on specific business types. I know I used to work at Sunshine Enterprises and developed their program there, and they really focus on neighborhood-based businesses. The Good Food Accelerator, of course, is focus on more businesses that are CPG product related. I know there's a food lab. Chicago is focusing on restaurant businesses. So there's a lot of resources out there. In Urban, we usually partner with those organizations. I always tell people, if you can't really afford our services in Urban, so what we do is we partner with nonprofit organizations, and through them we provide services for our clients, and normally for little to no charge. And we even have one that a couple we work with the city of Chicago on, where they pay us and we provide the services to the individual business owners. So there's a way, even if you don't have money.
Well, thank you so much, Shelby. I know you're super busy and you're in the midst of a conference. Thank you for taking.
Yeah, I got having a pitch slam at 2:00, so this is going to be fun.
Okay, well, go for it. And thanks everybody for watching us today. Thank you so much, Shelby.
Thank you for having me, Sadia. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much for taking this moment out of your day. We're making this come to you 2 Wednesdays a month, right at lunchtime. So hopefully anybody can take a break and get some bite-sized consumable insights. I'm Sadia Davis, the director for the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship. We are so grateful and thankful to our funder, the Coleman Foundation, and Arts Alliance Illinois as our fiscal sponsor. When you have an opportunity, you are welcome to come and record your own video commercial. We provide 2-hour sessions for creative entrepreneurs to take advantage of our Comcast. Let me show you our Comcast Business Startup Studio. We're here at 2112. Please feel free to shoot us an email. Check our events page on our CCE Global website, and we'll see you very soon. Take care.